Good Friday morning. Hello, Facebook, and we are now officially connected to YouTube as well. So how are you guys doing this morning? TGIF almost made it through yet another work week, and I hope it was a good voiceover week for you. I'm Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent, have been full-time for the past 16 years, recorded over 10,000 paid projects over the years. Everything imaginable. Even things I had no thought of doing, like toys, like the voice of a Lego City policeman plush toy, and a toy called Brian the Brain, which you could buy through. What were those upscale electronic stores in malls where they would have the back massagers and all kinds of unique little gadgets. Anyhow, I digress. Point being, everything, even video game characters, TV promos, commercials, and Lord knows boatloads of e-learning and corporate type work. So, been around the block a few times, and we get together every weekday morning between somewhere around 8 to 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time just to share a thought to start your day to help you be more profitable in your voiceover business. Now, before we get into today's is a Q&A. It's all about, it's all about your questions. And I will do my best to answer whatever questions you have. So, wait a minute. Somebody just said the store. What was it? Brookstone. That's the one. Thank you, Brookstone. I actually have, I don't think they sell it anymore, but I was able to get a hold of one. I think I had to buy it on eBay because they'd quit selling it in the Brookstone. So I found it on eBay, and I've got it here in my office. And I'm afraid the batteries have probably have long since corroded. I need to see if I can get that thing working again. I did that early in my career. It was an interesting and fun job. So before we get into the Q&A, and I've got a feeling somebody's going to ask this, and that is, why am I sporting the Neumann TLM 103 microphone once again, as opposed to the Sennheiser 416? I've switched back. Maybe it's a comfort thing, like having your favorite blankie as a kid, and then no other blankie really ever does for you what that one did. And because technically, I don't know that anybody, if you were to listen to the audio, I don't think you could tell much, if any, of a difference. But I got the shotgun, the Sennheiser, not because I thought it was a better microphone. It's a good microphone. It's a very good microphone. And it's widely used throughout the industry. Nothing wrong with it. And and it's built to be more directional. And so in theory, you shouldn't get as much, ambient noise. And we live in a place now. We moved here not quite 2 years ago in a place to another city, and I live in a home that's more residential. Lots of houses, kids, cars, noises. The usual thing that I have to contend with, as most of us do. And so I got the Sennheiser in hopes to minimize that. What I found is that, frankly, I can't tell much of a difference between the two mics in terms of excess noise. And I think that may be more attributable to my noise reduction software. I use the Universal Audio C-Suite CVOX as opposed to the microphones. But there's a comfort factor with this mic. I was never able to get the Sennheiser 416, the Sennheiser MKH 416, for those of you who want all the specifics, to a place where I was totally comfortable. I was always tweaking it, trying to get it where I wanted, because it's a more, for me, it felt more aggressive. Like everything is bigger on that microphone. And I found that my hard consonants, my K's and T's exploded too easily for me, and I was always trying to tame those and bring those back. Whereas the Neumann TLM, now this is just, my perception. It's hard to measure these things. I mean, you have to listen and make a judgment for yourself. But the audio recorded through the Sennheiser just seems rounder, a little softer, a little more, seems more forgiving to me. So anyhow, it's like having an old friend back. And I'm very pleased and excited to have the Neumann back in the studio. And it boosts my confidence a little bit, just because we have history. We have a very long, 13 years history together. So, anyhow, good to have the Neumann TLM back in the studio. So let's take a look at the live stream this morning and see what's up and answer your questions. Sandra in South Africa, good morning. So glad you're back today. I hope you continue to join the live stream, Sandra. Janet in Florida, good morning to you. Always good to see you here. So many regulars. I love it. Oh, Sandra asks, when is your birthday so we can remember to wish you? Thank you. It's interesting because I'm trying to forget when my birthday is. I'm kind of at the place where I prefer not to count them, but thank you. It's May the 30th. May the 30th in America used to be Memorial Day. Now Memorial Day is always celebrated on a Monday, so we get the long weekend. But it used to be when I was a little kid growing up, it was always on May 30th, regardless of the day of the week. And we would get out on school if it fell on a weekday. So I always thought I was special because I never had to go to school on my birthday. What a wonderful thing. Hey, Jolie up in Montrose, Minnesota. Good to have you on, as always, this morning. Sean in Kalamazoo. John up in the Chicago burbs. Hey, Jerry in Palm Springs, California. Thank you. You have a great weekend as well. Hey, Lemuel in Fort Wayne. How are you doing? What's up, Brad in South Carolina? Man, I love the Palmetto State. I just love it. I cannot wait to get back down there. I just received a warning. Let's see. The stream's bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use a stream. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Hopefully, it's tech stuff about the video stream. Hopefully, we're okay. Danny, first of all, let's see about Fred in Cameroon, Africa. Wonderful. They grow a great cigar wrapper tobacco leaf in Cameroon, as I'm sure you're well aware. Danny, San Diego, what's up? Juliet in Phoenix, an aspiring voice talent. Awesome, Juliet. You're in the right place. Gwen, good morning in Michigan. I was just having a conversation with a dear friend of mine just this past weekend. We were visiting in Illinois, and they had it was in their family. It was a lake house in Michigan, and they used to take us up every summer. We would spend some time at the lake house, and I just thought Michigan in the summer is just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Bernard, good morning. Lemuel, drink coffee. Yes, I need a T-shirt that says "Drink coffee." Right, that's what I need. Thank you for the suggestion. Steve, good morning. And by the way, don't forget, this is Q&A. So if you've got a question, throw it up here in the live stream. I'll be glad to tackle it. Dave is in New York City. Good morning, New York City. I tell you, I've only been there maybe 3 times. And even compared to Chicago, it's just an overwhelming place. If you're not accustomed to living in a city that big, it's I actually did a live event there. So, okay, quick story for you. This is, gosh, how long ago was this? Was this 10 years ago? No, maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago. I was scheduled to do a weekend voiceover event. It was my event. I was doing the entire weekend. It was at the New York Convention Center in Manhattan. And Mallory, my daughter, who was my assistant at that time, was going to go with me and help me out with stuff. And so we were scheduled to fly out on, Friday. Yeah, because it was a Saturday, Sunday event. Well, the Friday morning that we were to fly out, there was a big issue with the computers for the flight systems at the Chicago airports. They had crashed or something. And like every flight, like in the city, was grounded. And so I'm panicking. I think, oh my gosh, people, they've paid to be there. They've paid for their flights or their transportation, their hotels. They're going to be, I've got to be there. So we rush over to Hertz. And of course, a long line is beginning to form because people who had planned to fly, needing to travel. And now that I think about it, I don't know why I needed a rental. But for some reason, I felt that I needed the rental. Maybe, I don't know. Anyhow, long story short, was able to get a car, and Mallory and I drove literally. We started in the evening, and we drove all night. We arrived in Manhattan at 4:15, as I recall, in the morning. Just enough time to get a couple hours sleep and then up and then to do the 2-day conference. But it was a great conference. It was a great, learning time and made some new friends. And but anyhow, just one of those odd, weird things. And yes, we were able to fly back, so that was nice. Balma says, good morning. My husband and I are working on our DIY demos. Any tips on ensuring the best quality sound? Well, getting quality sound, that's the foundation of your voiceover business. And I'm trying to think of a way to make this as brief as possible because, of course, like in my voiceover blueprint program, all of this is covered in depth, but just very briefly, it's got to be quiet and it's got to be well treated. You need, absorbent material to make sure that you knock down those sound reflections. So that's the foundation. That's the bedrock. It's got to be quiet. More important than your microphone, more important than your equipment, more important than anything, it needs to be quiet. It needs to be well treated. And then when it comes to processing your audio, equalize and compress a little bit to sweeten it. Now, it's hard. You need to be able to hear it's going to be different for everybody. So I can't say, here are your settings. It all depends on your voice. So you might want to, I would recommend you reach out to somebody, an expert, like my son, Alex, ALEX, at BillDeWeese.com, because that's what he does. He helps he listens, critiques, and then gives helps you set up your sound chain and the plugins that you need to get the best audio. Sandra says, is it important to have a VO website or is it better to have a social media page? Far more important to have a website than a social media page. A social media page may or may not ever get you any work at all. Your work's going to come through. You can use social media, specifically LinkedIn, to get work. That's not my point. But if you want to get work, you need to have a destination. If you're going to be out marketing yourself, where are you going to send people to hear your demos? That's going to be your website. But when you're first getting started, you don't even need a website because you can utilize platforms like Fiverr, VoiceBunny.com, ACX, Upwork, where everything's done on the platform. And not, everybody, they come to the platform to hear your demos. You're hired through the platform. You don't need the website. So when you're getting started, you don't need one immediately. But once you get your pro demos, once you start marketing yourself directly to clients or agencies, you need a website. Annie, good morning in Ottawa. Jacob in Chicago. Hey there. I think I just scrolled past everybody here. Whoops. I got a little trigger happy with my mouse scroller. There we go. Let's see here. Hey, Bill in Nottingham. Good afternoon to you. Patricia in Buffalo. Home with the Buffalo Bills and the Sabres. Got to get the Sabres in there. Rob says, darn, it's early in Oregon. That's right. Rob's doing he's a live air show announcer out in Oregon to do a show this weekend. And yes, why the 103? So glad you're back. Yeah. I explained it in more detail at the beginning of the video, but just briefly, there's a comfort factor here, and I like the less aggressive nature of the Neumann TLM 103. So, in a nutshell, that's why. Teresa, driving from Atlanta to Augusta, you're making the drive easier. Well, I'm so glad. The morning drive, I've never thought of this as a morning drive show, but I guess it is, or it can be. Okay, let's see here. North Carolina, when beginning voice acting, should I also learn how to talk more clearly? I've also been recommended to start reading and to do audiobooks to start. Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, if you have issues with, enunciation and by the way, I'll tell you, I'll be honest, that's something I've had to work very hard on over the years. And part of my my heritage, my upbringing is living in a place where enunciating consonants clearly or even enunciating them at all was not a big thing. It's very common where I'm from, which was central Ohio, to literally drop consonants. And I didn't even realize that I was until I began recording voiceovers. So what I do, what you can do to practice is just practice reading by over-enunciating. Now, when you're recording, you don't want to over-enunciate. You want to subtly pick up everything. But the best way to do that is to overtrain. I have a training and instructional background too, by the way. Overtraining is where you exaggerate the process that you want to learn or the intended outcome, which will then kind of stretch your muscles out, help you to be able to do it, and then you can relax into that. So in other words, you do it, you overdo it, and then it's not so hard. You can relax a little bit and then still be able to easily enunciate the words. But you need to overtrain, over-practice, over-enunciate when you're not actually recording projects. Once you go Neumann, you never go back. I tell you what, there's the pole of the Neumann. I really do love this. I love the microphone. I think it may be more nostalgic. It's like my blankie. It's you never want to give up that blankie, and there's a comfort factor, and you can't underestimate the importance of that, because you perform better when you have more confidence and when you're more comfortable. If there are questions in your mind or you're struggling with something, you're never going to do as good a job. And so that was another thing that went into my consideration of this, was that if I'm more comfortable and I feel more confident in what I'm doing, I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to win more auditions. I'm going to get more work. And my clients hopefully will be more happy too. Lexington, Kentucky. Nick, you know what? Lexington, I just think is I love the drive through Lexington going down I-75. I remember we used to go that way to go to my grandparents' house when I was a kid. They lived in Knoxville. And I'll never forget those brown wooden fences around the horse farms and just going down the interstate. I just thought that was and that beautiful grass, I thought it was the most beautiful sight. Good morning. I have the Focusrite 2i2 Studio 3rd generation, and there's white noise or static in the background. What can I do about that? Well, I'm not technical support, so I don't know all the details, but I will say this. But the first place I always start with something like that is make sure that you've got the most updated driver for your computer. Typically, when that happens, it's because you need to get an updated driver for your audio interface. And Ken, good morning in Magneton, is that right? Magneton, Canada. If not, again, please forgive me. Jacob says, I feel like I'm struggling to find commercial scripts that work for my slightly higher pitched male voice. Any tips? Jacob, generally speaking, I wouldn't worry about scripts that you think are for high or low pitched voices. That's not what you need to be focused on. I have this philosophy, and I believe this is true. I think you could take the same 7 scripts, commercial scripts, use them with every voiceover talent on for a demo, unless they were specifically male or female, and you're selling guy stuff or women's stuff, and it may not sound appropriate to have a guy doing it or a woman doing it. Aside from that, it's all about being believable. It's not about whether you have a high voice or a low voice. It's about bringing the emotion that's appropriate, not the pitch of voice. So I wouldn't worry about that, in all honesty. We've got Jan in Johannesburg, South Africa. Awesome. Good morning. Dorita, how are you this morning? And a TGIF to you as well. Jay in Thailand. That's Gwen. That's right. We are birthday twins. Back when I was produced Gwen's demo several years back, or demos. I don't remember if we did 1 or 2, but Gwen, I think we had that conversation about us both being Geminis, and yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Very cool. Have I had payment issues with overseas clients? No, not really. It's sometimes a little bit more of a hassle. There's a few more steps to do, but generally speaking, no. And as I've mentioned before, I do probably at least 25% of my work is done outside of the U.S., outside of North America. Oh, Theo's on the train from the burbs into the city, taking care of business. Bachman Turner Overdrive. Well, Theo, I hope you have a good day. Chicago, what a great city. I really enjoy. I didn't live in the city. I lived, actually I lived a little less than an hour from the Loop, but it was always nice to have access to that whenever I wanted to go in and do something. And I've got a lot of great memories, including running 2 Chicago marathons. Believe it or not. Daniel Morris in Colorado. Hey, good morning, Christopher. In Quebec. Good morning, Christopher. Edwin in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's happy to be here and going to South Carolina today. Awesome. South. That's always my motto. South. South. It's warmer there. It's sunnier there. I like that. My wife, not so much. She's like, north. I want the snow. I want the ice. She wants the 4 seasons, but she's no fan of the heat. How do I keep my booth cool? Well, first of all, what makes you think my booth is cool? Maybe I need a higher resolution camera so you can see the sweat that forms on my forehead. This voiceover whisper room comes with its own ventilation system, which I have never used. Well, when I first got it, I hooked it up, but I found it just made too much noise. It's, when you need silence, even the quiet exhaust, and ventilation systems can be an issue. So my ventilation system is I keep my door cracked about that much. And there's a few ports in this booth. And here's a key for you. Make sure you drill some holes in there for cables and stuff. But with those little ports and little holes around the bottom of my studio, there's only a couple of them for cables. And with my door being cracked, I get enough air to survive. And then between projects, I throw the door open. If you were to be in my VoiceOver Blueprint program and watch me when I'm doing a session with a client who's directing me, and maybe it's, I don't know, it could be a half hour, hour long, when I'll mute my mic when I'm not talking between takes or while they're talking, and I'll open my door and I'll get some air in here, and then I'll close it back and unmute my microphone. So, I mean, it's not perfect, but you do what you got to do. Jules in the UK. All right. I love it. Good morning. Annie, have you heard anything about Fiverr limiting new seller accounts being created? I saw someone mention that in concern because I'm getting ready to do my demo and create a gig. Well, you're only allowed to have one account on Fiverr. So that, I mean, you heard you can have multiple gigs, meaning you can, have different things that you do. I will record your commercial. I'll record your e-learning. I'll record your whatever. But you can only have one account, is my understanding. Rob says it's hard to tell with the angle of the webcam. It looks like you're about a foot away from the mic. In reality, how far from the microphone are you? Tip of my pinky to the tip of my thumb. Yeah, so about 6 inches there. Yeah, it does create, there's a bit of an optical illusion there going on. Christopher, I find it difficult to get started. Doesn't seem smart to have a website without demos or a list of jobs done. Hard to book without demos. Professional demos are expensive to start. Any advice? Christopher, my advice is you need to get my VoiceOver Blueprint program. You're going to learn all this. We'll take you through step by step. But aside from that, the first thing you want to do, you got to get your audio right. Then you need get your demos. Then you take advantage of the low-hanging fruit and the free platforms like Fiverr, like Upwork, like ACX, like farawayvoices.com, which is owned by Spotify, by the way, like Voice Bunny. That's where you start. And you get some traction there. You make some money there. Then you progress to a pro demo. Then you get a website. And then you start competing like on the pay-to-play sites and that kind of thing. Well, guys, it is getting late, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to make it through all of these. But here's what I do. I reference back to these questions in the following week, and use it, that as fodder for discussion. So just because I didn't get to your question now doesn't mean I won't answer your questions in the future. So make sure you make it a part of your morning routine to join me. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day and a wonderful